I wanted to see how you would describe Lucha Underground to someone who has never watched the product.
Man, I would say a collision of lucha libre, American-style wrestling, martial arts, MMA, and parkour, wrapped in the gritty action film polish of a Robert Rodriguez movie.
And what convinced you to sign on before they had even debuted?
Well, I'd worked with Chris DeJoseph and Chris Roach at WWE. Knew both of them. Also knew Eric and Langdon from the appearance I did on Topping Off in 2010 with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And when they told me the plan, and I saw the temple and heard that this was going to be a co-pro between Mark Burnett and Robert Rodriguez, and it was also going to be filmed 10 minutes from my house, I was like, yep, sign me up.
And the name Johnny Mundo, was that something you came up with, or did they?
We threw around different ideas for names. It was going to be Johnny World, and I thought World would be hard to chant. So
right.
We switched it to Johnny Mundo.
And this season you also have Rey Mysterio coming in. What was your reaction when you learned about Rey signing?
I was stoked. I mean, he came by and checked out the temple season 1, and it was Rey's one of my favorite people in the business. I mean, he's undeniably one of the most talented wrestlers in the history of wrestling. And as far as bringing lucha to America, I mean, in WCW, we started with Conan, and then ECW with Rey, Hoovy, Psychosis, Super Crazy, and then with WWE, I debuted on SmackDown against Rey and Eddie Guerrero in 2005, and hearing that we were going to get him for Lucha Season 2, I was like, stoked. If I just describe it in one word, it would be stoked.
Yeah. And also this season, Alberto Del Rio, who was a big part of the last season, departed Lucha Underground. Were you surprised to see him leave?
Yeah. I mean, he left not too long after season 1, and I was really surprised. I was a little bit sad, too, because I liked Alberto, and I thought that we had really great matches together. And I'm also happy for him because he had a great opportunity, and he took advantage of it.
Yeah. And having worked with both WWE and Lucha Underground, just as a performer, what are some of the major differences you see between working between the two companies?
The creative autonomy that I feel like not only I have, but the whole roster has in Lucha Underground is more than I felt with WWE. The willingness of the production team and the writers and the producers to listen to input and ideas from the wrestlers, I feel like is more in Lucha Underground, and also feel like the handcuffs are off, so to speak. The freedom to do and try new things by everybody on the roster is there, and because of that, it made the locker room competitive and supportive in a good way. Everyone's trying to outdo each other and outdo themselves, and it's a really cool environment to be a part of.
Yeah. Last week Shane McMahon returned to WWE, and you were with WWE when he left. How were you guys told about his departure?
I think he just left, and the next day or week or so, somebody said Shane left.
That was it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. Like he was never like a huge part of the show where he was on every episode of Raw. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a fan of Shane. Like I like him as a person, and I think he's got a good energy, and I think he obviously didn't have to ever wrestle, but he wanted to because he's a fan of the business, and I respect that too. I think it's kind of cool to have Shane back, and B, it's a little weird that he's gonna wrestled Taker at Mania.
Yeah.
If I was part of the roster, I'd be a little upset about that.
Yeah. What were some of the differences you saw between Shane and Stephanie?
Oh man. Well, aside from the boobs, they're, you know what, they both love the business, and they both have great minds for the business. I really enjoyed working with both of them, and I feel like Stephanie is probably a little bit more of a type A personality, and really started wrapping her head around the business aspect of pro wrestling as well as the creative, and she really improved herself from the time that she started appearing on camera till now as a character, and learned a great deal about the business. Yeah. And you know, and Shane's the same way, except to me he always seemed like he was more about the fun and which path is correct or which approach is correct. No, I don't know. They're both different.
Yeah. And Lucha Underground also announced that they'll be having a live event at South by Southwest in just a couple weeks. Will you be a part of that?
I don't think they could have a live event without Johnny Mundo. Come on, bro.
Right, just making sure.
Yes, yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of it. I love South by Southwest, and Austin's a great city, and I was there for the first ever taping of Lucha Underground in Los Angeles, and this is the first ever time that Lucha Underground is going to have a show outside the temple, and I'm really happy to be a part of that too. I recommend if anyone has the means to get to Austin and check it out.
Now, do you think this is just the first step in holding more live events this year, or is it more of an experiment, just trying to get out, or did the opportunity just come up?
I think it is right now an opportunity and the litmus test, so to speak, to see how a live event goes outside the temple. But as far as more live events go this year, possibly. But we're also starting season 3 the week after the event. So there's not going to be time to have any live events for Lucha probably outside the temple for at least a couple of months.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as traditional pro wrestling, as far as the having the pay-per-views and live events and things like that, do you see Lucha Underground kind of moving more to that format of having a couple pay-per-views a year or something like that? Or
I don't know. I mean, anything that I say right now would just be speculation. Although I will say one thing that I've really enjoyed about Lucha is its break with traditions. Mm-hmm. It's the first wrestling show that's really established its own identity and created a world in which the characters can be darker, more multi-layered, almost supernatural at times. And it's had the creative integrity to stick with that and to stick with the idea that the vignettes are filmed in a way that TV shows and movies are filmed. And so as far as taking that and doing pay-per-views and all the traditional wrestling stuff, I don't know. In some ways it'd be awesome, but in other ways, Ultima Lucha that we have every year is like a pay-per-view. It's just on television, right. And that's cool too.
Yeah. And you mentioned the third season, which starts up soon. What do you know about the third season, and what do you see many changes being made? I think they're going to film in the same temple, right?
Yeah, the same location. Mm-hmm. I think from season 1 to 2, everyone involved got better at their jobs, so to speak. The talent knows more about how to wrestle in front of TV, wrestle for TV versus wrestling for live events. The production crew, a lot of Mark Burnett's production staff. Season 1 was the first time they filmed wrestling and taped it, and now everyone involved has got 2 seasons of experience with Lucha Underground. So season 3, I expect the machine to become more well-oiled, so to speak, everything to become more polished, and I don't think that there's going to be any huge changes as far as we're going to start traveling or have pay-per-views or anything like that for season 3. I think the world is going to continue to grow more complicated and dark. Stories are going to continue to be developed. The characters are going to continue to be developed. And people that are watching Lucha Underground now are going to see the characters and stories that they invest in now evolve and become darker things or different things or more positive things sometimes, depending. I think that's what's happening with Lucha Underground.
Well, I know we're looking forward to it. I know you're short on time, so I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and best of luck. And you know, we're looking forward to what's coming up.
Well, thanks for having me, and make sure to watch Lucha Underground on the LA Network, 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights. For more information about me, follow me on Twitter @TheRealMorrison or on Instagram @JohnHennedy.